Hi, I'm Michelle Smart. I'm an enrolled agent trying to keep you updated on the latest on the Employee Retention Tax Credit. Well, as you recall, the IRS put out a notice 2021-49 some time ago, which explained to us how to report the taxable ERC refund. So the instruction was go back to the year in which the wages were reported that were used for the Employee Retention Tax Credit. And on that year, you must amend your tax return and reduce the salary expense by the amount of the ERC refund. Let's go over and take a look at that form. So this is notice 2021-49, and this is on page 24. And here is the explanation how you got the refund. You should go back and you should file an amended federal income tax return or an administrative adjustment AAR. What happens is it becomes taxable on the federal level. Just keep in mind, I believe there's around 11 states that do not tax the employee retention tax credit. So look that up before you file an amended return. Now, usually if you are fairly sure you're going to get that money, you could go ahead and file the amended return. But a lot of us got the big scare this last year. The IRS put out a lot of fear tactics, and there was such a big delay that people started to doubt that they were going to get that refund. As a matter of fact, these letters that went out, these disallowance letters, and the handling of the ERC by the IRS made many people doubt that they would get the refund. And therefore, they did not go ahead and file an amended return. But also keep in mind, they needed the ERC refund in order to pay the additional taxes that would be due. So what has happened now, and what was a conversation with many accountants back at the time of this instruction was, if the IRS is not timely in doing these refunds, then the statute of limitations is going to run out because you have only 3 years to amend your tax return to claim this additional income. So we've wondered what was going to happen with that. So I have an example for you that was reported by another accountant, and I want to share this with you. So here is an accountant who said the client had received their employee retention tax credit. And it, like most of you, they didn't know if they were going to get it. They had their doubts. They got the money in the middle of 2023. I'm sorry, they received it in August 2024. And at that time, they went back and they amended their 2020 tax return. And because of the increase in income, remember, you've reduced the salary expense. That basically gives you increased income. So if you have an S corporation, you have an amended S corporation tax return, and that amended K1 is going to go through to the personal tax return. In this case, they sent in the payment with the amended tax return for $34,000 of additional tax. This got refunded or sent it back to them by the IRS. And basically, this is what they've said. They didn't share the exact letter. We have received your amendment and associated payment, and since the payment and amended is past the statute of limitations, we can't process it, and the tax will not be due. This is kind of amazing. We're still a little bit feeling we're in a gray area because we knew when this happened and the IRS was taking a long time to pay these refunds that this statute was going to expire. And we thought the IRS is never going to let this go by and not allow people to pay these taxes. So I don't really know what to say to people who have not filed their amended return. And if you haven't got your ERC refund yet, I think I would wait till I got it just to be sure with everything that's going on. Who knows? There's a lot of political things happening. The IRS commissioner has left. They could change this rules. As a matter of fact, there's a provision for 2021 to allow 5 years instead of the natural 3 years statute of limitations, which means you would still have to pay your ERC. It means you would still have to pay and amend the tax return for 2021. But as it stands right now, it looks like the statute of limitations has expired for amending your tax returns for the year 2020. Now, you know, the deadline, final deadline for filing the 941X to claim ERC was April 15th, 2024. That is also the same deadline to file and pay taxes for those same periods. So I don't know if this is going to be an across the board thing or the IRS is going to catch this and do something different. But right now, some of us are just like, maybe you just really don't have to amend. That is in the law that you don't have to amend. But remember, there's a provision in 2021 ERC that would give 5 years instead of the normal 3. So if I had not amended my 2020 tax return, I'm not sure that I would go ahead and do it. I don't think you really need to. So I would discuss this with the tax professional just to be sure. But the law shows it expires. I also want to share with you, these are just some notes on some tax update classes for tax professionals. And again, they're talking about this 2020 ERC claims for the income tax return now may be outside the assessment statute of limitations period. A similar issue could face the 2021 ERC claim starting in 2025, but there is a provision increasing the assessment statute of limitations to 5 years to a credit claimed under this section. So again, this has been a topic of discussion. A lot of people have not amended because one reason they don't have the money to pay the additional taxes, but there's been some doubt as to whether or not they would actually get this refund. And if you had filed an amended return because you were expecting to get the refund and paid the additional taxes due, then you would have been caught in this loop where if you didn't in fact turn around and get your ERC refund, you couldn't go back and amend and get that refund back for the additional taxes you paid. So we were sort of in this loop of you shouldn't amend until we're sure you're going to get the taxes, because not only is there an expiration of the date to go back and pay taxes that might have been due from 3 years ago, there's also an expiration on them paying out those refunds. So as tax professionals, we were kind of wondering, how is the IRS going to handle this if they take this long to pay these refunds? What are they going to do, because the statute of limitation is running out? And I know the IRS was recommending to people to go ahead and amend those returns, maybe even before they got the refunds. But as tax professionals, it's very hard to suggest to our clients that they file those amended returns claiming the ERC refund when the IRS has been made this very difficult to get these refunds and taken such a long time. We were worried about that if you amended your return with the expectation that you would get the ERC refund and then you did not get that refund, that statute would expire for you to recoup the additional taxes that you paid on your amended tax return. So we're all very concerned about this 3-year statute. Let's just wait and see what happens with it. But I would not be in a hurry if I have not filed an amended 1040 or the amended tax return for your corporation or partnership. I would not be in a hurry to amend the year 2020 if I had not received the refund yet. Let's wait and see how this plays out, but I would hold off on filing that amended tax return. In other news, I wanted to share just this posting that I saw from a tax attorney, and they had a client who was being audited on partial suspension, and she provided this information, which I'm just showing you part of what was provided as proof of partial suspension. I think you can read through that yourself. She said when she presented this, she very quickly got an assessment that it was accepted. and they were accepting the partial suspension. It may be since these law cases, and if you saw my last video about the IRS backtracking on partial suspension being so specific as their bulletin stated, maybe they're going to make it easier now. They're going to have to if you challenge them. So this is Michelle Smart. I'm an enrolled agent trying to keep you updated on the latest on the employee retention tax credit. Thanks for watching. Please give a like and subscribe so others who are looking for this content can find my channel. Thanks again.